The bus lurched forward. The old man stood near the back, one hand gripping the overhead rail. His knuckles were pale. His coat was faded. Green. Not military issue, just old. A young man in a business suit sat in the priority seat, scrolling through his phone. He didn't look up. The bus turned a corner. The old man swayed, but didn't fall. His legs were thin beneath worn trousers. His boots were scuffed but polished. A woman with shopping bags glanced at him, then away. No one moved. The driver's voice crackled over the speaker. Priority seating available for seniors and disabled passengers. The young man adjusted his earbuds. The old man's jaw tightened. He said nothing. His face was lined, weathered by more than age. There were small scars near his temple, one above his left eye. His hands were rough, thick at the knuckles. The bus stopped. Again. More people boarded. The aisle grew crowded. A teenager bumped into the old man. "Watch it," the teenager muttered. The old man steadied himself. He didn't reply. His eyes stayed forward. Calm. Still. A middle-aged man in a contractor's vest noticed. He frowned but didn't speak. The bus rolled on. The old man's breathing was steady. Slow. His chest rose and fell in rhythm, like he'd learned to control it long ago. The young man in the suit finally looked up. He saw the old man standing. He looked back at his phone. The woman with the shopping bags whispered to her friend, "Someone should say something." Her friend shook her head. "Not my problem." The old man shifted his weight. His left leg seemed stiff. He didn't complain. His lips stayed closed. The bus passed through downtown. Tall buildings, construction noise. The smell of exhaust and fried food drifted through the open windows. The old man blinked slowly. For a moment, his eyes seemed far away. Somewhere else. Somewhere hot. Dust in the air. The sound of rotors. Gravel. He inhaled through his nose. Then exhaled. He was back on the bus. Standing. The contractor in the vest stood up. He motioned to his seat. "Here, sir." The old man shook his head once. "I'm fine." His voice was low. Quiet. Not weak. Just quiet. The contractor hesitated, then sat back down. The bus turned onto a wider street. The VA hospital came into view in the distance. The old man's eyes shifted toward the window. He watched the building pass. His expression didn't change, but his grip on the rail loosened, just slightly. A man in a leather jacket leaned toward his friend. Old guy probably never worked a day in his life. His friend smirked, just waiting for a handout. The old man heard them, his jaw clenched, but he didn't turn, didn't argue. He'd heard worse. The bus slowed at a red light. Police car passed on the left. The old man's eyes tracked it, not with fear, with recognition. The way someone watches a familiar face in a crowd. The light turned green. The bus moved again. The young man in the suit stood up suddenly. He stretched and moved toward the door. The priority seat was empty now. The old man didn't sit. He stayed where he was. Standing. A woman in scrubs looked at him. "Sir, you can sit now." He nodded once. "Thank you, I'm fine." She frowned but said nothing more. The bus made another stop. Several people got off. The aisle cleared a little. The old man shifted his weight again. His left knee buckled for just a second. Caught himself. No one noticed. Except the contractor. He was watching now. The old man's face remained blank, but his breathing had changed. Slower. Deeper. Controlled. Like he was managing something. Pain. Maybe. Or memory. The smell of diesel fuel filled the bus. The old man closed his eyes briefly. Another flash. Sand. Heat. The vibration of a Humvee under his legs. The taste of dust. The weight of a rifle. He opened his eyes. The bus was turning into a quieter part of town. Residential streets. Trees. The noise softened. A small child in the back pointed at the old man's coat. "Mommy, why is that man standing?" The mother pulled the child's hand down. The child stared anyway. The old man glanced at the child. His face softened, just a little. The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile, just acknowledgement. The child waved. The old man nodded. Then looked away. The bus approached another stop. The door opened. A tall man in uniform stepped on. Army dress uniform, dark green jacket, ribbons across his chest. Stars on his shoulders. A general. The Bus went quiet, not because anyone knew who he was, but because he carried himself like someone who expected attention without asking for it. He paid his fare, then turned toward the back. His eyes scanned the passengers. They stopped on the old man. The general's expression changed. His jaw set, his eyes narrowed. Not in anger, in recognition. He walked down the aisle. His boots made no sound, but people moved aside anyway. He stopped in front of the old man. The old man looked up. For a moment, neither spoke. The general's voice was firm, quiet, but it carried. "Sergeant." The old man straightened slightly. "Sir." The general turned to the people sitting nearby. His voice was louder now, not shouting, just clear. "Stand." The man in the leather jacket frowned. "What?" The general's eyes locked on him. "I said stand." The man stood. So did his friend. The general pointed to the priority seat. This man stood in places you'll never see. Held lines you'll never understand. Carried weight you'll never feel. He looked at the old man. He earned this seat. The bus was silent. The old man didn't move. The general waited. Then spoke again, quieter this time. "Sit, Sergeant." The old man hesitated. Then slowly walked to the seat. He sat down carefully, his left leg stretched out. Stiffly, the general remained standing beside him. He didn't salute, didn't make a show. He just stood there, watching the road ahead. Contractor in the vest leaned forward. "You served together?" The general glanced at him. "No." He looked at the old man again. "But I know what he did." The old man's hands rested on his knees. His fingers were still. He didn't look at anyone. The woman in scrubs spoke softly. "What did he do?" The general didn't answer right away. He studied the old man's profile, the scars, stillness. The way he held himself even while sitting. "Enough," the general said finally. The bus continued. No one spoke. The general reached up and pressed the stop button. The bus slowed. Before stepping off, he turned back to the old man. "Sergeant." The old man looked up. The general's voice dropped. Only the two of them could hear. "Fallujah. Second tour. November, 04. The old man's eyes widened slightly. The general nodded once. "I read the reports." He stepped off the bus. The doors closed. The bus moved on. The old man sat in silence. His hands trembled. Just once. Then they were still again. The contractor leaned back in his seat. He didn't say anything, but he kept glancing at the old man. The woman with the shopping bags whispered to her friend again, "What happened in Fallujah?" Her friend shook her head. "I don't know." The old man stared out the window. His reflection stared back. Older. Thinner. But still. Him still breathing. The bus passed a small park. Children were playing. Running. Laughing. The old man watched them. His face was calm, but his eyes weren't empty. They were full of something heavy. Something carried. The bus slowed at another stop. The old man stood. He moved carefully toward the door. The contractor stood too. "Sir." The old man paused. The contractor held out his hand. "Thank you." The old man looked at the hand. Then at the man's face. He shook it once. Firm. Brief. I'll quote. "For what?" The contractor didn't know what to say. The old man stepped off the bus. The doors closed behind him. The bus pulled away. The old man stood on the sidewalk. He adjusted his coat, took a breath, then started walking. Slow. Steady. His left leg stiff, but moving. The street was quiet. The sun was low. Shadows stretched across the pavement. He passed a small cafe. A flag hung in the window. Red, white, and blue. He didn't salute, didn't stop, just kept walking. A car honked in the distance. A dog barked. The old man turned down a side street. The houses here were smaller. Older. His was at the end. A small yard, a single tree. The grass needed cutting. He walked up the short path, unlocked the door, stepped inside. The house was dim. Quiet. He hung his coat on a hook by the door. Underneath, his shirt was clean but worn. A small tear near the collar. He walked to the kitchen, filled a glass with water. Drank it slowly. Set it down. On the counter was a photograph, black and white, faded. Young men in uniform, dusty streets behind them. He picked it up. Held it for a moment, Then set it back down. His hand lingered on the frame. He walked to the living room, sat in an old chair by the window. The cushion was worn in the shape of his body. He leaned back, closed his eyes. Outside, the light faded. The street grew darker. The old man sat in silence. Not sleeping, just sitting, breathing, remembering, all of it, just pieces, the sound of boots, the smell of smoke, the weight of a pack, the voice of a friend. Gone now, but not forgotten. He opened his eyes. The room was darker now. He didn't turn on the light. He sat in the shadows. Still, quiet. Outside, a car passed. Headlights swept across the wall. Then it was dark again. The old man's hands rested on the arms of the chair. His breathing was steady. Slow. He wasn't waiting for anything. Wasn't expecting anyone. He was just there. Present. Alive. The night deepened. The house was silent. But the old man wasn't alone. Not really. He carried them with him. Everyone, every name, every face, every moment. He always would. The next morning came. Slowly, gray light filled the window. The old man woke in the chair. His neck was stiff. He stood carefully, stretched his back. His left leg took a moment to respond. He walked to the bathroom, ran cold water over his face, looked in the mirror. The same scars, the same lines. He dried his face with a worn towel, folded it precisely, hung it back on the rack. In the kitchen, he made coffee. The old percolator rattled on the stove. He didn't own a modern machine. Didn't need one. This worked. He poured a cup. Black. No sugar. Sat at the small table. The photograph was still on the counter. He didn't look at it. This time, he drank his coffee in silence. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked. A car started. The world was waking up. The old man finished his coffee, washed the cup, dried it, put it away. Everything in its place. He put on his coat, the same faded green one, checked his pockets. Wallet. Keys. Bus pass. He locked the door behind him. The morning air was cool. Damp. Smelled like rain coming. He walked to the bus stop. The same route. The same time. Every day. 3 other people waited at the stop. A young woman with headphones. An older woman with a cane. Man in work clothes. None of them spoke. The old man stood at the end of the small shelter, his hands in his pockets. The bus arrived. He let the others board first. Then stepped on, paid his fare, moved toward the back. The bus was less crowded this morning. Several seats were empty. He sat near the window. Not in the priority seat. Just a regular seat. He didn't need special accommodation. He just needed to sit. The bus pulled away from the curb. The old man watched the streets pass. The same stores, the same intersections, the same faded billboards. A young mother got on at the next stop. She had a baby in a carrier. A toddler holding her hand. The toddler stared at the old man. Big eyes. Curious. The old man's face softened again. That same, almost smile. The toddler waved. The old man raised 2 fingers. A small wave back. The mother smiled tiredly at him. He nodded once. The bus continued. The VA hospital appeared in the distance. Again, the old man's stop was 2 blocks past it. He pressed the button. The bus slowed. He stood carefully, walked to the door, stepped off. The doors closed. The bus drove away. He was on a commercial street now. Small shops, a hardware store. A laundromat, a diner. He walked to the diner, pushed open the door. A bell chimed above. The smell of coffee and bacon, warm air. The place was half full. Waitress looked up. She was in her 50s. Gray hair pulled back. "Morning, Frank." The old man nodded. "Morning, Denise." "Usual spot?" "Yes, ma'am." He walked to a booth in the back corner, facing the door. Always facing the door. He slid into the seat. Denise brought coffee without asking. "Menu?" "No, thank you. Same as always." "Eggs, toast, and grits." "Yes, ma'am." She walked away. The old man wrapped his hands around the coffee cup, let the warmth seep in. Man in a veteran's cap sat at the counter. Vietnam-era. Older than Frank. They'd nodded to each other before, never spoke. Didn't need to. The door opened. A family came in, parents and 2 kids. Loud. Happy. The kids ran to a booth. The mother apologized to no one in particular. Frank watched them. With annoyance, with something else. Something quiet. The food arrived. Denise set it down. You need anything else, honey? No, ma'am. Thank you. She patted his shoulder once, then moved on. Frank ate slowly, cut his eggs precisely, ate his toast in quarters, finished his grits, left nothing, wasted nothing. He drank the last of his coffee, set the cup down, pulled out his wallet, left cash on the table. Enough for the meal. Enough for a good tip. He stood, walked to the door. The veteran at the counter turned, caught Frank's eye, raised his coffee cup slightly. Frank nodded back. Outside, the sky was darker. Rain was close. Frank turned right, walked 3 blocks, turned left, another, 2 blocks, a small church, white paint peeling, wooden steps. He climbed them, slowly, opened the door. Inside was dim. Quiet. Candles flickered near the altar. A few people sat in pews. Heads bowed. Frank walked to the 4th row. Left side. Sat down. He didn't bow his head, he just sat. Looking forward. At the altar. At the cross. At the light coming through stained glass. His hands rested on his knees. He wasn't praying, not in words, but he was present, still, listening to the silence, feeling the weight of it. Minutes passed. Maybe more. Time moved differently here. Finally, he stood, walked to the candles, pulled out $1, dropped it in the box, lit a candle, watched the flame catch, grow steady. He didn't say a name, didn't say anything, just watched. Then turned and left. The rain started as he stepped outside. Light at first. He didn't rush. Just walked. Let it fall on him. By the time he reached the bus stop, he was damp. Not soaked, just damp. The bus came. He got on, rode back toward his neighborhood. The bus was nearly empty. Now. Mid-morning. Between rush hours. He sat near the front this time, watched the rain streak across the windows. His stop came. He got off, walked home, unlocked the door, hung his wet coat, changed into dry clothes, sat in his chair. The rain fell harder, now drumming on the roof. Running down the windows. The old man listened. It was a good sound. Clean. Steady. He closed his eyes. Not to sleep, just to listen. The afternoon passed. The rain stopped. The sun broke through. Steam rose from the street. Frank made a sandwich, ate it standing at the counter, washed the plate, put it away. He walked to a small desk in the corner, opened a drawer. Inside were letters. Old ones, some yellowed, some still white. He didn't read them. He'd read them before, many times. He just touched them, made sure they were still there. Then closed the drawer. The phone rang. An old rotary phone on the wall. Frank picked it up. Hello, Mr. Sutton? Speaking. This is Rebecca from the VA. Just calling to confirm your appointment next Thursday at 10. I'll be there. Do you need transportation assistance? No, ma'am. I'll take the bus. All right. We'll see you then. Thank you. He hung up. Stood there for a moment, then walked back to his chair, sat down. The light was golden now. Late afternoon. The street was quiet. A few kids rode bikes past. A woman walked a dog. Normal. Life. Continuing. Frank watched it all. Not judging. Envying. Just watching. Being part of it. Even from inside. Even from his chair. Evening came. He made a simple dinner. Chicken breast. Rice. Green beans from a can. Ate at the table. In silence. Washed his dishes. Turned on the small television. The news. He watched for a while. Fires somewhere. Elections somewhere else. Stocks up or down. Weather. He turned it off. The silence returned. Better. He sat in his chair. The darkness gathered. He turned on a single lamp, opened a book. Western. He'd read it before. He read a chapter, then closed it. Set it aside. Leaned back, closed his eyes. Tomorrow would come. The same routine. The same bus. The same streets. And that was fine. He didn't need excitement. Didn't need recognition. He'd had enough of both. What he needed was this. Quiet. Rooter. Routine. Peace. He'd earned it. Not with medals. Not with ribbons. With days and nights. And years. With carrying what needed to be carried. With standing when standing was required. With sitting when it was allowed. The house settled. Around him. Small creaks. The hum of the refrigerator. The distant sound of traffic. Frank sat in his chair. Eyes closed. Breathing steady. Still here. Still standing, even when sitting. The night deepened. The street went quiet, the lamp burned on, and Frank Sutton sat in his chair. An old man, a veteran, a keeper of silence, carrier of weight not forgotten, not by those who knew, not by himself, just living, one day, one moment, one breath at a time.